Fire away.
Dowell, Brent Venables has always been known as a guy who can really adjust his defense, at a split second, depending on what formation you guys are in. How hard is it to prepare for that? Do you have to throw in a lot of new stuff, or is it just try to mix it up a little more than you do?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and it's a very good observation because what's amazing when you watch the tape, and I've never had a chance to compete against him, always in the, scout a lot of his players in the NFL, but the volume of defense they have where they still play hard. A lot of times when you start seeing teams that have a lot of volume, their players slow down a little bit. These guys play hard. You can tell by how many turnovers they have, how many fumbles they create. I think team speed always dictates how many fumbles you create. And these guys play hard and they don't make mistakes. And so you can tell like they're building a culture of defense there that's really impressive. It'll be the biggest challenge from a volume, the amount of scheme we face this year. And they do get to it, to your point, very quickly. Whatever their communication system is very good. So you have to, as an offensive coach, you have to figure out what can our players handle, starting with the offensive line and quarterbacks, because that's who he's going to test the most. From a protection standpoint, this guy's a nightmare to prepare for on third down. He does a great job. He's going to put stress on, but it's stress on the offensive line, the quarterbacks, the tight ends, the running backs, and protections. But he can also adjust fast, and he sees protections. He knows what you're doing protection-wise. He knows the calls, and he knows how to attack those protections. So it'll be a good challenge. You better be ready to adjust in games, and we got some young players are going to be this is going to be an awesome challenge for those guys to get a taste of what this is going to be like in another great opportunity to grow, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But been a fun week of preparation, stressful though, but fun week.
Aside from the turnovers by Lenore, how do you feel like he played this past week, and just big picture wise for the season? Where do you think he's at?
Yeah, well, what's hard about quarterback is you get defined by turnovers sometimes. I know I brought this up. I was just talking to a couple scouts outside of Peyton Manning. Had 28 interceptions his rookie year. It took him 7 years to, I think, win a playoff game. But you talk about the turnovers. Once we eliminate those things, I see growth every game he's played. There was a lot of things. You go to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and you're a 21-point underdog, and you lead a 2-minute drill to have a chance to go down there and tie that thing up at the end of the game. And I thought he saw some things really well. I thought he took another step in the passing game that we needed to take. Obviously, we know what type of athlete he is, but every time I think, every time he gets a chance to go out on the field, and it's the same thing we keep talking about, keep making new mistakes, and there's plenty for a redshirt freshman to make, but we're not in that game without him. And I was really pleased. I'm really pleased with where he's at this point. Like, we've got a quarterback. There's no question in my mind about that. We're going to help this guy eliminate the turnovers, but it's the fine line too, because he made a Superman play when the ball that should have been about an 85-yard touchdown, and made a Superman play. Ball's on the ground. You guys know I went to Arkansas. I'm having flashbacks to Clint Sterner and 8-0 versus Tennessee, like having flashbacks to that. But I remember Coach Fisher's advice when we were in Tennessee, and we would tell Coach Chow and Coach Heimerdinger and myself, like, don't take away the best part of this player now. Don't take away. There's going to be some sacks. There's going to be some turnovers. As he's young and he's growing, he's got to figure out when the journey is over. But he puts that ball on the ground. He gets away from those guys and throws a great throw down the right sideline, and that's what we're dealing with. We're a very special, talented player that has to learn and grow and go through the only way to grow through this stuff is to go through it. But that play he made, it was a long incompletion on a third down that he came off the bench to go do on a third down. But when you watch that, it gives you see how bright his future is going to be. We got to keep teaching him, hey, this is when the journey's over on the sack, on the turnover on that one. That's on me. That's on me. Like, you guys know, like, when we take sacks, I'm on his butt about you can't take sacks. You can't take sacks. He's trying to do what his coach asks him to do. He's trying to throw the ball away because his coach tells him, don't take sacks. You got to know where your checkdowns are. Climb the pocket, check it down. Don't take sacks. So when that stuff happens, to me, that's him learn. It's another opportunity for him to learn and say, hey, I got to know when it's over. When I'm in the grasp, I know what my coach is telling me, don't take sacks and be smart with the ball. But, like, on that, he'll get better with that stuff. So I'm super excited about where he's at.
with Shivers when he came in, what do you guys feel like you got out of him when he came in and obviously stayed in the rest of the way?
Yeah, he came in and played well. You don't know how they're going to be until they get out there. Like he's a much improved player. Like he's worked and he's got talent. He's got really good feet. He's starting to learn how to become a good practice player. Sometimes it's easier to come off the bench when you're not stressed about worrying about starting a game and all that stuff. So he had a chance to like watch a little bit of the game. He played some reps, took some practice reps last week, and then this thing's about making the most of your opportunity. And came out there and he lost a couple of battles versus a really good team. But what I loved is how he responded. There was a 2-minute play where he got a little high and 22 got under him and pushed him back a little bit. But the next play, he jump set the guy and set him down and did a really good job for a redshirt freshman to come in and play in that environment. I was really pleased with that because you think the talent you have on when you're talking about the backups, but until they actually get like meaningful time to it's you think and you hope. But he came in and did a nice job for us.
The people in Tuscaloosa are still going crazy about the 4th and 9 play in the first half. Can you take us through that? What was that call? Dialing up a deep pass there.
To be honest, like I hate saying this all the time. I feel like I say it too much, but like because we're getting into week 7, we're young, so you always worry about volume when you're young. Like all you want to do as a coach is put your guys in a position to be successful, to give them an opportunity. And those little pause in the game right there, and you're sitting there, and it's 4th and 9. Percentages of getting that thing are not great anyway. And so when I was in 2012 or 11, I was the offensive coordinator at Tennessee Titans, and we hired Tom Moore, the old offensive coordinator of the Indianapolis Colts, and as a consultant. And I'd just taken over. I was super young, 27, 28 years old, and I was like, can we get someone in here that can help and just be another idea and someone I can learn from and grow from? And I remember Coach Moore saying, in times of crisis, you think players, not plays. The play wasn't on the call sheet. We hadn't practiced it. And I'm thinking, and there was like the pause in the game, and I'm sitting there thinking through it, and I'm like, this is the call. This is the call. But we haven't practiced it. But I know what we need to do to help our guys, give them the best opportunity. So, like, there's an internal struggle of, like, do I call this play that I think is a good schematic play? And to our guys' credit, nailed it. Mazio was great. D. Campbell was great because D. Campbell, if we didn't practice that play, and if you don't know what to do and you're not a conceptual thinker in that moment, because they'd been bringing zeros, so I wanted to max up and give us a chance to throw the ball past the sticks. And those guys handled it. The pass protection was great. The guys handled the play. And, we got the coverage we thought we were going to get, and we put their safety in a bind. But it really comes down, and none of it works if Mazio, D. Campbell, Nick Harbor don't go out there. And Harbor was running so fast right there on the post route that eats up 2 guys and steps on his toes. And Mazio is slippery enough and savvy enough and to get into that little cavity of the defense. And the protection was great. Lenore threw a great ball. So a lot of credit goes to those guys for handling that situation.
Dowell, I know you and Shane and a lot of people talked to Lenoris about the fumbles. Is there one drill you had to put in? Is it just watching extra film? I mean, how has he handled it, and how have you guys augmented what you usually do to say this has got to stop?
Yeah, well, you start talking about the technique of things. It's not watching the film; it's making sure that one of them is an exchange, that happened. Now, here's what bothers us: the week before, Robbie and Rocket had the same exchange issue. All right, so like we talk about repeat offenders. So now you got to take what happened in that situation and correct it. Now, we didn't do a good enough job, obviously, because we had the same exact thing happen the next week with Lenoris and Rocket. So from that standpoint, it's emphasizing that more. We watched the turnovers, and one of them, like I said, was an exchange, and the other one was, I just mentioned myself, overcoaching, not taking sacks. And he's trying to do what his coach asked him to do and throw the ball away when he's in the grasp. So me understanding, be a better coach, and then making sure that we get enough. The biggest fear I had when we decided now you talk about more schematically change the offense where there is more quarterback run game. Last year I thought we did a good job of eliminating turnovers. Well, now there's more exchange issues. There's more things going on with zone reads and triple options. So the ball's in jeopardy more naturally, making sure that we understand that it's strong hands through the mesh with the quarterback. He's got from his back hip to his front hip to make a decision with strong hands in those meshes. And, the good thing for, Mike Shula helps me some with the QBs, and like my experiences with Vince Young and some of the guys I've had his experience with Cam, and you just keep doing it. You keep working it, and it's not secret outside of being good with technique, making sure that you don't do the same mistake twice, which we did. So shame on us as a coaching staff and myself, really, not no one else, to correct that, and then you attack it with everything you have to fix that thing, because it can't keep happening now, because we are going to continue to do what we do schematically, and there are going to be there's more ball handling than ever before. So that's part of it, but it can't be. Sometimes you say, hey, that's the cost of doing business. That's not. The ball on the ground one time is too many. So it's making sure that we're putting Lenoris in a situation that we're practicing the right things, that we're emphasizing the right techniques, and that we're putting him in these situations where sometimes when you go over to ball handling, it's just, hey, it's the running back and the quarterback, and they're doing that, but we're putting guys over there, make a read, we're making a second pitch, we're swiping at the ball, we're doing all those things to make sure we put him in a situation to be successful.
Two quick ones. Going back to Mazio and Lenoris, what do you think's allowing them, particularly as kind of a duo, to gel so well? I know they're both young, but maybe besides that, could you give a little more insight? And then how important is it to keep the momentum going, knowing that you have a stoppage in play with the bye week coming up?
I think it's those two. Confidence only comes from demonstrated ability. And I think when those two they've gelled because it's work for them. They put in the time throwing in practice. They have a good relationship where they communicate well. That you give a lot of credit to both of them because they are young, but they're both intelligent kids. Like, they get it. And Mazio's the same way. Like, Mazio, when you guys talk, I don't know how much you guys get taught to him, but like, extremely competitive, extremely like just intense personality, and wants to be good. And you could feel it when you talk to him. Like, it comes through the phone when you're FaceTiming him. It comes through, like, when we're recruiting him, I'm like, wow, like, is this every day? And that's how it is. Like, he attacks this thing. He wants to be good. And it goes back to his mom and dad. When you're around those people, it's like, wow, like, this is a real kid that's got real conviction about who he is, real confidence about who he is. I think that's a big part of it. You're talking about they're confident in different ways. Mazio is wide receiver confident, and Lenoris is humble confident, but both of them have a real confidence about themselves, that they're convicted in what they do, and they have confidence. Like, when knowledge builds confidence, confidence allows you to play fast. Mazio makes plenty of mistakes, but he doesn't make the same mistake twice, and he has the confidence to go make a mistake, but do it 100 miles an hour. Lenore sees that. Lenore sees how he runs routes, how he attacks coverages, how he attacks a mistake. So he believes in him. And I tell everyone, it's the same message we had for Nick Arbor. Like, you keep working hard, and that ball finds you. And he's had 2 great weeks of practice. The ball finds you. Like, this game honors effort and toughness. And when you do practice the right way and you do go compete the right way, the ball finds you. And that's Lenore. The quarterbacks see that. The quarterbacks sit there, and they're very judgmental people by nature. Like, they get judged more than anyone else, but they also judge every route that every wide receiver runs. And it's a really smart room in most buildings, and it is definitely here. But like, just to hear the quarterback sitting in there, every route we watch one-on-one, it's like, hey, oh, that was good. And that's almost like they're keeping track. And Mazio has earned their confidence on how he's practiced, how he's coming to prepare. Like, it's a guy Lenoris believes in. In the second part of the bye week, like, right now we're in such a week-to-week race, and this is a hard conference, and so we'll worry about that next week. Like, we're solely focused on Oklahoma and attacking a defense that is going to offer a huge challenge schematically, the volume and all those things. Like, we'll worry about that, when we get on that plane afterwards and after we get all this stuff corrected from the game. But right now we're focused on our red area plan for tomorrow and making sure that we're good on third downs, because that'll be a big part of this game. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you guys.